Hello friends, welcome to FDR India. FDR Lok Satta family extends its warm wishes on account of National Integration Day to all its viewers. Let's talk to Dr. Jayaprakash Narayan about this important day. Hello sir.
Hello, Ankit.
Sir, September 17, 1948 has been previously observed as Telangana Liberation Day, and still many sections of the society observe this day as so. But you have gone on record and previously you have mentioned, you have told about it that it should be instead be observed as Integration Day. Why did you take that stand?
Ankit, what happened between 1947 and 1948 was extraordinary. The British suddenly declared, while initially they said until 1948 June, by 1948 June or so, they will, I think on 1948 December, I think, they will leave India. But suddenly Mountbatten advanced the program and announced partition suddenly in the month of June, I think, in 1947 announced. And by August 15th, in about 3 months' time, a massive country of world's greatest diversity and extraordinary population suddenly was dismembered. And then we had 565 princely states in India. They were all paying tribute in a notional sense. They were notionally under the suzerainty of the British. There was no military challenge to the British, but they were all independent princely states. And the British said they can do whatever they like. Imagine the 565 states, and of them 550 are in the present day Indian Union, the partitioned India. Imagine these 550 states being separate, isolated, each claiming independence. Imagine the chaos within today's Indian Union. And imagine the chaos in the world, 565 voices in one geography. And in the whole world, there are now, I think, 200 plus countries. In those days, about 120, 130 countries. And see how the integration was accomplished. You take a country like Germany, 39 independent states, all German speaking. All of them are the same religion, Christianity, only one of them, Bavaria, with Catholic sect. The rest are all Protestants. Same language, same culture, same race, same history. It took tens of thousands of lives to be lost, blood to be shed under Bismarck. Bismarck called it blood and iron between 1862 and 1871. Take Italy. There were 9 independent Italian states at the time, all of the same language, all Catholics, all with the same history, literature, culture, right from Roman Empire, long history and tradition. And yet it took 23 years of intense struggle by the people and the statesmen at the time to unify Italy. Then look at India. 22 officially recognized languages today. Every single faith that you can conceive of on planet Earth being here. All kinds of castes, regions, religions, tribes, etc. And yet, in an extraordinary burst of activity, in a period of about a year and 3 months or so, 550 states were integrated with no violence at all. The only place where the armed forces had to be sent, it was called the police action, was the Hyderabad state. And even there, only 6 people lost their lives among the policemen or the armed forces of India. Just 6 people. It was the most dramatic illustration of the Indian nationhood. It was a historic triumph of Sardar Patel and his colleagues. Patel spearheaded this whole project of princely states integration with masterly statesmanship and wisdom. He could integrate all these princely states. And Hyderabad state was the largest princely state. Out of the 565, 550 were in India, 15 were in Pakistan, 14 of them in the tribal area, Northwest Frontier Province, that area. Only one of them, Bhavalpur, is in Punjab, and also that's incidentally a very large princely state population-wise. After Hyderabad state, if you exclude Jammu and Kashmir, that is a separate history. The largest princely state after Hyderabad state was Bhavalpur, with about 1.4, 1.3 million, 13 lakh population. Hyderabad in those days had about 40 lakh population. Today, the combined region of the old Hyderabad state, but now spread in 3 separate states of Telangana, Maharashtra and Karnataka, probably is about 6 crores or 6.5 crores. So this largest state, about 2,15,000 square kilometers area, In those days, by 1941 census, about 1.6 crore population was unified as the last princely state to be integrated. And the union was complete. And if we don't celebrate that, I don't know what else we do. By that time, already Jammu and Kashmir also was integrated because Maharaja Hari Singh has signed instrument of accession. So the last princely state was the state of Hyderabad. And it is a triumph of the will of the people. It is a symbol of unity of India with enormous diversity. It transcends religion, region, language, more than anything else, language. Even Hyderabad state had 3 languages. And I think we all should celebrate if we really understand nationhood and the extraordinary spectacle that is, the triumph that is the Indian nation. Unlike any other nation on planet Earth, incredible diversity and yet peaceful unity without the sword. I think we should take pride in that. And therefore, I've always regarded this as a National Integration Day. For some strange reason, Congress party, which actually spearheaded the freedom movement, which argued for integration of princely states, which created the branches of the freedom struggle in every princely state, including the Hyderabad state. Now, who are these people? Swami Ramananda Tirtha, P.V. Narasimha Rao, S.P. Chavan, Virendra Patil. Each of them became chief minister in the respective states later. Ramananda Tirtha's disciples, Burgul Ramakrishna Rao. They were all freedom fighters in the state of Hyderabad, fighting for India's integration. If you don't celebrate that, of which you were a very significant part, I find it very strange. It's absurd. To say that the Muslim sentiments should be hurt by that is absolute nonsense. There were about 40 or so, or 30 or odd Muslim rulers within these princely states. Are you trying to say that in all these world princely state areas, because a Muslim ruler, a feudal ruler was unseated, Muslims would be hurt? What about the 530 or 540 Hindu rulers of the rest of the states? So would they be hurt? Therefore, shall we give back them the old sovereignty and ask them to rule themselves? What rubbish is that? We have decided to come together as one nation, under one constitution, one flag, with equal rights for all religions, irrespective of religion, gender, caste, and economic status or caste. It never happened in human history. You have all equal rights in terms of political rights, the freedoms guaranteed under the constitution, the right to vote, and linguistic rights, 22 languages recognized under the constitution. If that is not a cause for celebration, coming together of all these princely states into the mainstream India, it is absurd. I don't understand what else is the cause of celebration. So this is nothing but some strange politicking. And even when Congress was opposed to this and many other parties were scared of doing it, Lok Satta movement and party always said it's a national integration day. And I think that's the right approach.
So if you look at after independence, in recent times, 75 years of independence have happened, is over. And if Telangana and erstwhile undivided Andhra Pradesh has been growing by margins. And it is among the top 10 contributors to country's GDP. Right now, it is somewhere around, contributes nearly about 4% to the country's GDP. Per capita income of Telangana is also one of the highest, if not the highest. What do you think, what is the reason for Andhra Pradesh, earlier erstwhile Andhra Pradesh and Telangana's growth?
No, I think large parts of India grew. It's not merely Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Tamil Nadu grew very well. Karnataka, Maharashtra is a great example of growth. Gujarat is a great example of growth. I think there are certain factors which facilitated growth in certain areas more than other areas. But across the country, everywhere we grew. Only thing is, it's not balanced. Bihar's per capita income is about 1/4 of the richer states. We still have serious issues of economic growth and progress there. But I think hopefully in the next few years and decades, we'll improve that situation. But there are certain factors which allow certain sub-regions to grow faster. A, coastline. Typically, all over the world, if you're coastal as opposed to landlocked regions, you grow faster. Take any country in the world. And B, because of the coastline history, take Gujarat and Maharashtra. Why is Gujarat so progressive throughout history? Because they always had trading links with the Arab countries and therefore through them to Europe. And therefore, your minds are exposed to the rest of the world. You are into shipping and trade, which are always engines of economic growth. and you are a little more progressive in terms of economic management rather than traditional attitudes and tribalism. So that's another factor, history. Third, British India, wherever British India ruled, at least in Raithwari areas, for instance, southern states had Raithwari areas, where the tenant farmers' rights were recognized and they became owners, even during British time, about a century or so before independence itself. And that gave a feeling, just like, from feudalism to modernism in Europe. Once the tenant farmers' rights were recognized and the feudal lords became less important, Europe came into its own. Industrial revolution could take place. Here also, that helped. You take the northern part of the country, the Jamindari system was not abolished until the Indian independence came. In fact, in Uttar Pradesh, it was Charan Singh's government that abolished Jamindaris. Until that time, they continued, the estates and other things. Whereas in the south, you had the Raithwari system. Then you had, as part of the freedom struggle and the nationalist struggle, the reform movements. Initially, it started in Bengal with Raja Ram Mohan Roy and Vidyasagar and others, but remarkable reform movements in the south, whether it is Veerasalingam Pantuli in Andhra Pradesh, Ramaswamy Nayakar, and even his predecessors earlier in Tamil Nadu, etc., the self-respect movement, the social justice movement, where basically they tried not only to overcome superstition and the orthodoxy of the more unacceptable Hindu practices, the child marriage or prohibiting widow marriage or things like that, but fight against caste oppression. The southern movements primarily were fights against caste oppression. Social justice movement was about empowering the people who by birth were earlier recognized as the Dalits or backward classes. So the assertion of these people, therefore, the gene pool which was wasted earlier, stunted earlier, now could come to the fore. The energy and spread of education, particularly in British India. So all these helped us do well. Some of the princely states also did very well. Take, for instance, the state of Mysore, very enlightened princely state. Mokshagandam, Visvesvaraya and others, they were all part of Mysore state. Take Baroda. Baroda Maharaja was the one who actually encouraged and nurtured a talent like Ambedkar's. Even today, Baroda is one of the more enlightened regions of the country. Or take some other parts of the country, Travancore in Kerala, current day Kerala. Again, Travancore is a very enlightened princely state. So these three are perhaps very notable. Wherever there was enlightenment and they embraced the best British practices, again, growth was faster. Rest of India, partly because of geography, partly because of politics, and partly because it took time to overcome the Jamindari and the feudal system. It's taken a little bit of time, but wherever you do the right thing, ensure some decent quality education and access to it to everybody, and enhance productivity, at least to some extent by improving some healthcare, but build infrastructure and enable conditions for growth, investment, etc., there is considerable growth. Even sub-regions which were earlier always landlocked, but earlier suffered from backwardness, like in the old Bimaru states. Orissa is now doing well.
Yes.
Orissa certainly, take demography, take the reforms in education, healthcare, electricity sector, etc. Orissa is in the forefront. Take Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. After the division of these states, there's significant improvement you can see. It's palpable. Rajasthan, ever since Bhairav Singh Shekhawat, he changed the way Rajasthan was run, there's significant improvement in Rajasthan. Uttar Pradesh now, you can see tremendous burst of growth and investment. Earlier, Uttar Pradesh was bracketed with Bihar as the most backward region. Eastern India, hopefully with the Asian highway, that connectivity and some special efforts, will catch up. But I think all of India, if we do the right things, we can now grow. Some sub-regions may be a little behind because of history and infrastructure and access to education. But once you equalize there, I think the whole country has the same opportunity.
Right. So picking up from what you just said, you said if you do the right things, what have successive governments done right in the southern parts that they have shown this kind of growth?
No, first of all, we have all done wrong things. Wrong things are common to the whole country. For instance, high degree of centralization was inimical. In fact, the burst of energy that was seen in some of the states in the first flush of local governments, early 1960s. We don't see it now. Maharashtra and Gujarat and Andhra Pradesh and some other parts of Kerala always have been, and Karnataka for some time, they were always strongest in terms of local empowerment. But subsequently we killed it. By and large, in most of the country, except perhaps Kerala, there is no local government empowerment. They are all perfunctory, tragically, despite the constitutional amendment. Rule of law is non-existent in most parts of the country. On paper it is there, but in reality, police are entirely under the thumb of those in power, without accountability. And there is neither impartiality, nor competence, nor accountability. Therefore, that's again inimical to growth. Most of all, the terrible economic policies in the guise of socialism. It was not socialism. Socialism is about releasing the energies of everybody, enhancing the productive potential of every human being. Therefore, it must be about quality education to every child irrespective of birth and healthcare to every family without any out-of-pocket burden. We failed spectacularly in both, but in the guise of socialism, we completely eliminated economic freedom. We enslaved our people economically. License permit quota raj was created, and creation of wealth was regarded as sinful. And if you made legitimately money, the taxation was so high at one stage, 97.75%, there was no incentive to create wealth. So we have created a monstrous situation. We shot ourselves in the foot and therefore undermined economic growth. So any impulse for growth only happened after 1991.
Right.
The only good things that happened before that were some institutions of excellence. A few educational institutions of excellence, which again later on, until now, they languished. They are not performing as well as they did in the early stages. But barring that, there was no impulse for economic growth. But now I think we have done that. Now, given that, in the South, because of the social justice movement, a lot more people had that hunger to improve their lives. They also got the first irrigation in the South. You take Sir Arthur Cotton's work in current day Andhra Pradesh or in Tamil Nadu. Most of the irrigation came because of him. Once you got irrigation and some sense of social justice so that the farmer and peasant community could aspire to be anything that they want to be, then your aspirations and your hunger for knowledge and economic growth and making something of your family, that took charge. And therefore, early professionals, early urbanization, early entrepreneurship, all these happened in these parts of the country. And that initial advantage continues.
Thank you for sharing your perspective, sir. This is FDR India. Join us again next time.